adopt the phrase, an assembly of righteous people who have the Spirit of God, rather than using a church. Because over a church, you have pastors, you have bishops. Over a mosque, you have imams. And I tell you, I have a lot of them in my holding facility as I'm talking to you. And I have a lot of them that are convicted for fraudulent practices. So sad. So it's a product of it's what comes out of your heart. You're a righteous man. Now I'm going to embarrass you today. I never wanted to say it, but I just felt that's my little way of making this contribution. I investigated this man for 6 months. Yeah. For money laundering. We work by intelligence, we work by petitions. At some point, I saw there was an account, a domiciliary account. Dollars, pounds were dropping in like raindrops, from Colombia, from America, from Sri Lanka, even from Togo. I said, who is this man? Yes, I've been hearing about his name, I've seen his face a couple of times. I never bothered about what he was doing. I knew he's a pastor. So they said it's one Pastor Jerezi of Streams of Joy. Go and investigate him. So we went into the investigation. We combed the books. Yes, we saw the money coming in. So my IO, my investigating officer, came to me one day and said, sir, this is the preliminary report. I said, I'd like to see this man. Go and invite him. So he came to my office. I saw him. I've seen that face, I know. But I didn't know it was him because I saw somebody who came in with baggy trousers and, it's a small, t-shirt and some punk and, with pattern. And I was almost going to say, go and call your pastor, my friend. You are not the one. Go and bring your bishop. So upon a second look, I look at the face. I said, okay, you are Pastor Jerry. He said, yes, sir. I said, go sit beside me. So he told me what happens and all of that, and how the money came, what he does, how he has been helping people and all of that. I said, you know what? I didn't call you here to explain to me. We have already done our work. I called you here to commend you. If you want to stand up and have applause, do that. Thank you very much. Please take your seat. Take your seat. And I said, look, by virtue of my mandate, people identify us at the work we do with criminals, with suspects and all of that. I also have preventive, mandate. EFCC should also be identified with righteous people who have integrity. We must drum them up. We must drum them up. And you are one of them. The only thing that is remaining now is to give you a letter of validation, but I'm not going to give you because I will still continue to monitor your finances. Just yesterday I was addressing the committee of pro-chancellors of universities, and I made a statement that eventually the media took out of context this morning. And I said, look, I was trying to draw an analogy of our young Nigerians, the people we are expecting to hold a bastion for tomorrow. And I share an example of what I've seen in the course of my investigation. I didn't call 6 out of 10 students criminals. No, I wouldn't have done that. I said, for the intel we got, the people we invited, students we invited, and for every 10 we investigated, we discovered that 6 were found culpable. The record is there. And I thought about it then. I said, if I keep railroading these guys to jail, how would that help my work? And I sat down. And I said, look, we needed to do something. I approached Mr. President, and we agreed on 2 things. Sir, you have passed NEF fund law. There is no money for NEF fund to take off. I have a crop of hundreds of students who are into cybercrime. And when I did my research, I discovered why they did that. Because a lot of them could not afford to train themselves in school. Legitimate reasons being applied to a legitimate, way out. And so I said, I have some money in my recovery account. Why can't you take part of this, about 100 billion, invest it in NEM fund? And that was how NEM fund took off. 50 billion for NEM fund, 50 billion for Credit Corporation. Now today, NEM fund has done 1.3 million students paid their school fees over the past 1 year. That's how to fight corruption and how to make things work. Sir, you have taken 240 people out of my docket of people that have potentials to commit financial crime. You have taken 240 out. So you have reduced my work. You have helped me in your own little way. And that is how we must help ourselves as Nigerians. We must be one another's keeper. So it's not only creating jobs for them. You have helped my mandate. And that's why I had to abandon every other thing I needed to do in the office and identify with you here, because you are a good man.